All right, everybody, welcome to a brand new episode of Lights Camera. I was just challenged to do this in one take, so here we go. I don't get to do a do over, I have to do this all in one. So, this week we have something very interesting. I decided to do a little experiment with the guys on the show. How many times have you seen a movie that you really liked? And I mean, like, you strongly liked it, it's like one of your favorites, but it seems like everybody else in the world hates it. They just dog on it. They don't love it nearly as much as you did, and you just sometimes it makes you question your own ability to judge a film. Unless you're like me and you don't give a shit. You like what you like. But anyway, so what I did was I took a movie that has been roundly trashed by people throughout the ages. It's one that I don't think I've ever heard anybody say anything positive about it ever. It's Brian De Palma's Bonfire of the Vanities, starring Tom Hanks, Melanie Griffith, and Bruce Willis. And I mean, I remember when it came out, it's like everybody that I met hated the movie because it was based on this iconic book, and the book I've never read it. So I went into that movie just completely fresh, completely open, wanting to take the ride, wanting to enjoy the experience, and I was completely satisfied. I will say that 30 odd years later, it's hasn't necessarily held up, but then again, it is a movie of its time. It's not a timeless movie at all. But anyway, so I basically got Bill and Justin on board and said, "You guys watch this, and you guys tell me: am I right? Am I wrong? Is this a good movie? Is this a bad movie? Was it misjudged? What's the scoop?" And that's what you're about to experience now. Is basically my friends telling me, "Am I right or am I wrong?" Bonfire of the Vanities, everybody. And if you haven't watched it yet, you should, because it is really a good movie.
I'm gonna just very quickly here let you know, Doug, I didn't hate this movie, but I think I know why people didn't like it. So when we get to that, I think I have an answer for
Well,
you.
let's not jump the gun here.
This is entertainment at its best. You can't leave him dangling. You got to give him a little bit of carrot and then another carrot and another carrot. Come on.
All right. And action.
Before we get into that, I genuinely would like to try and work this into the show somehow. But did anybody see anything this week in the theater that they enjoyed or didn't enjoy?
I saw Fast X. Is that what it's called? Fast X?
Yeah, or Fast 10 or Fast, the what's his face got demoted from triple X to 1X. Who knows? But anyway,
How was it?
Actually, I thought it was a fun ride. I will tell you, to me, Jason Momoa's character, I thought he was very overacting, and I felt like he was trying to be the Joker and the Penguin at once. It's this weird thing. Um, I enjoyed the
Like
character.
like Mickey Rourke and Iron Man?
Yes. I wish I said that. That is perfect. That's exactly what it's like. It's with that weird, that just so out of like, I mean, Mickey Rourke is weird to begin with, but like Jason Momoa is it's a very weird twist. I won't say anything, but it's a very
Okay.
interesting. But I thought it has a really good it's fun to bring all the characters like that have ever been in it together, which is really fun. And the
except
ending.
for Paul Walker, rest in peace.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously, if you are dead, they're not in this.
How many of the films in the franchise have you seen?
Actually, so we counted the other day. I've seen 8 of the 10.
Okay, which ones did you not see?
I didn't.
Not see, not Nazi. Sorry, I slurred the word.
I've not seen Tokyo Drift, and I haven't seen what was it? The one I didn't see, the 6, Fast and Furious 6.
Okay, so in your estimation, and trust me, we'll get to you in a minute, Bill.
Yeah.
What what would you term to be the best one of the franchise?
I would say 5 is really great. The one in Brazil, I think that was a really fun one where the Rock comes in and everything. It's just a good action trash with some fun in it. And I would honestly say the first one is really a lot of fun.
Okay,
How about you?
Bill, you haven't seen Fast X yet, right?
I've not seen Fast X.
What about the rest of the franchise? What about the rest of the franchise?
I've seen a bunch of them. I probably haven't seen a few, and I could not even begin to tell you which ones I have seen or haven't seen.
Did you like any of them?
Yeah, I'm a popcorn movie person anyway, so like I think those kind of things are pretty fun. I will say, I like a movie, and this will sound strange. I like a movie sometimes where I can get joy out of like enjoying the movie and at the same time laughing at the movie sometimes with the absurdity. Like I can kind of get into that. So like I don't remember which one it was. It was 7 or 8 or whichever one the one was, and they dropped cars out of a plane and they parachuted onto a road.
Yeah.
As if that was the most effective way to get to the bad guys. Like, what the most logical way to do this is put parachutes on cars. Like it's just it's so amazingly, because you got to work cars into it. Like if there isn't cars in it, like how are we having this movie? Yeah, I did a little bit of work on just on the marketing side, but I shot some stuff for Hobbs and Shaw and for Fast 9. Hobbs and Shaw I thought was a little bit disappointing. Like I feel like that didn't. I mean, it was like a spin-off side movie or whatever.
Yeah.
So I think it put too much acting responsibility maybe on. Although I think both those guys are pretty good actors. Like I think Jason Statham and The Rock are pretty strong when they want to be. Jason Statham, I'm a huge fan. Like I definitely like a lot of his stuff.
Love his movies, especially Spy. Have you seen Spy?
Did I see? Yeah, I saw Spy.
For our audience out there, and Doug, have you seen Spy?
No.
Oh my God, that's going on the list. It's a great comedy. But anyways, he plays an over-the-top character, this spy that like one time my head got chopped off, but they sewed it back on. That kind of thing.
I mean, he won in the Transporter movie, the first Transporter movie, especially. Like the Transporter was just so good.
Yeah, Transport was amazing.
It's just,
when it comes to the Fast franchise, I really wasn't all that excited about it when it first started, but 4 and 5 were very solid movies and got me all excited that okay, well now it's like they've righted the ship, they've kind of figured out the best way to move it into the future. But then after that, when it came to 6 and beyond, it was like what Bill was saying, I had the opposite reaction. I was like, it got so fantastic and so over digital. It's like I really like I'm a big practical guy. I don't mind digital effects if they're enhancing something that was practically shot. So movies that are all green screen drive me nuts. And I just feel like the fast movies they made after 5, it started relying heavily on digital and just became just complete cartoons. And so how is Fast X compared to what I just said? That'll tell me if I want to go see it or not.
No, I'm laughing because it is so hardcore. Like perfect example. There's a scene where he could literally, when Vin Diesel could walk away. Okay, he could literally just get up and walk away. But he said, "You made one mistake. You let me keep my car." And instead, like, it is the most fantastical, insane, like, even when you suspend belief, he would have died. Like there's not a shred of way to survive this. Okay. And to your point, Bill, at one point he flies over this freeway in Portugal, and about 30 feet from the ground, he just drops the car right in the road, picks it up, and drives on. So there is a lot of fantastical.
Are you saying you haven't done that? Because it's not hard.
20 feet. 30 seems excessive. Am I wrong?
I mean, for you, probably. I'm a more seasoned driver than you, so I'm sure I could do better.
Fair enough. But no, it's a fun ride. It's more fun because they bring all the characters in. The fun part is they bring literally every character you can think of back. I will tell you though, some of the characters are looking a little rough around the edges. A little rough.
So it's time to put the franchise to bed.
It might be.
I do love. I mean, I will say this. I've heard him talk a lot about the thing off camera, and
Okay.
like this whole persistent thing about family, and I think the Paul Walker thing brought them even closer together. I like Michelle Rodriguez. I think she's pretty cool, and I think she's a bit of a glue element in there, if you will, for the family. Um, I don't know. It's look. We all watched the A Team growing up,
Oh, love it.
which probably does not stand the test of time at all as a television show, but it was that like team mentality of like, we're family, we're team, we're doing this together, like all that kind of stuff. Like, so I feel like they've definitely got that, which is kind of fun. I think we're just judging it by the execution of the crazy rather than like you got to buy into the conceit, right? It's a group of
Exactly.
hardcore street racers or whatever who are conquering the world, and for some reason the
Working with
government calls
CIA.
on them.
Absolutely. I will tell you that one of my favorite scenes though is they go to the CIA, quote unquote CIA headquarters, and it looks just so fantastically awesome. And if you've ever been to Langley, I'm just letting you know, audience, it looks nothing like this, like at all. So they make it look so techy, so cool. And yes, they have neat stuff, but having been on that side, I will tell you that none of that. I had to just suspend all my belief in that because they're just like, it's like even beyond what Google has, and you're going, a government agency, sure.
Without releasing any names, I had to tour a very high-ranking government official around a fake CIA set one time,
Okay.
and his comment, like immediately was like, "Yeah, not even close." Like,
Yes.
it's like-
I was just about to say I would love to be sitting next to someone who actually works at Langley when watching a movie set in Langley and have the guy go, "Where the fuck's that?"
Mr. Fowler, our hero.
Reverend Bacon.
I feel as if we already know each other. And Mr. Cosero.
Reverend Bacon, so nice to see you guys.
You gentlemen have an exclusive here. You understand me? Oh, I could have had every newspaper and TV station spreading this news thinly. But I've chosen only you two. And I expect big coverage. In-depth coverage.
Let's go to work then, sir.
Let's go.
Look, Reverend, do you think we might be making a mountain out of a molehill here? I mean, honestly, these people...
Honesty has nothing to do with this, Mr. Fowler. This is show business. I've never known the two to go hand in hand.
so Doug,
Yes.
start us out a little bit. Tell us why you love this movie so much.
Well,
I promise you, I'm not here to fight with you about this at all. But tell us why you love it. What tickles you about it? What are you into?
First, let me just kind of do a fast rundown of what exactly the movie is.
Sure.
This is the Bonfire of the Vanities. It was made in late 80s, early 90s. Tom Hanks, Melanie Griffith, Bruce Willis, and a slew of character actors who are all firing on all cylinders as far as I'm concerned. Directed by Brian De Palma, who, let's be honest, there's times when Brian De Palma can be absolutely brilliant, and there's other times when Brian De Palma can completely screw the pooch. So, I mean, I'm a huge fan of Brian De Palma, and I sometimes forgive him when I shouldn't. But I mean, and come on, Justin, I know you're a huge Scarface fan, so you can't say you don't like Brian De Palma.
I'm actually refreshing, looking at my phone of all the stuff
He's done a ton of stuff.
Yeah.
And
I'll go for the Untouchables. Yeah.
what's that?
I'll go for the Untouchables.
Oh yeah, the Untouchables, absolutely. But the thing is that he balances between doing his personal projects, which get labeled as kind of like Hitchcock ripoffs, versus movies that he gets hired to do, which was like Scarface, Untouchables, Bonfire of the Vanities. And so those were movies that were not his passion projects that he got hired to do. And with Bonfire of the Vanities, originally supposed to be Mike Nichols was going to direct it. And the approach would have been completely different. Who knows? It might have been more faithful to the book. I don't know. But anyway, basic plot rundown. Tom Hanks is Tom Hanks is a Wall Street master of the world, so to speak. Big, and it takes place probably, they don't say, but it's probably like mid 80s before the crash in 87. And he's having an affair with Melanie Griffith behind his wife's back. And he ends up going out with her, making a wrong turn. And it's totally ambiguous as to what exactly the motives were, but they get approached by a couple of African-American guys. You don't know exactly if they're trying to rip them off or if it's just a chance encounter. Bottom line, they panic because they're, closetly racist or not closetly. And they end up hitting one of the guys who goes into a coma and is likely to die.
With their car.
The thing is on, what's that?
With their car, real quick. You said hit.
With the car. They hit him with the car. At the same time, you have a district attorney who is dying to find a white defendant because it seems like all they prosecute are people of color. And so they're dying for a rich white defendant. So when they finally figure out that Tom Hanks might have been behind the wheel when it was actually Melanie Griffith driving the car, they go after him with what I term to be a level of reverse racism that's just as bad as what people would do if they were going after someone of color. It's like it's all about this color of their skin and not about who they are as a person. So anyway, don't want to go down the rabbit hole too much further. The only other thing I'm going to add is that Bruce Willis is a down on his luck reporter who happens to come across the story and happens to print the first major story about it, and it causes the entire media to go nuts. And the story gets out of hand, and there's twists and there's turns, and by the time it's all over, it's like nothing ever happened. Because everybody moved on to something else. So when it came out, Bonfire of the Vanities was one of the biggest books of the 80s, and I never read it. And I still haven't read it to this day. I probably should. And so when they said they were making a movie out of it, a lot of people were excited because it was an indictment of the 80s as a decade, and the greed decade, so to speak. And I think, honest to God, it probably would have played better if they would have waited 10 years and then did it as a period piece. But they did it they produced it in 89. So it's like it was still the 80s when they made it. And I think it was just a little too close for some people. And like you guys, I'm not giving anything away when I say Geraldo Rivera pretty much plays himself in there. And this was at the exact same time that Geraldo Rivera was doing. I mean, he wasn't who he is now. He was doing just exactly who he was in the movie. And it made me at the time go, oh, so everything I'm seeing Geraldo Rivera do right now is bullshit. And Geraldo's basically telling us, hey, everybody, everything I do is bullshit. And I'm like, why would Geraldo Rivera agree to do this movie if he wasn't trying to tell the audience, hey, everyone, it's bullshit? So okay. There's a lot of things that went wrong with this movie in production. And that was also in the media as well. The media was very, very loud to say, hey, this movie was problematic. It was troubled. There's actually a book and a podcast, by the way, about the making of this film. Sometimes I think that the media tells the audience in advance, hey, this movie was problematic, so it's going to suck. And then people go see it and go, yeah, it sucked. Me, I went and saw it. I laughed my ass off. There are so many lines in there I still use to this day. I just watched it again last night to prepare for this, and I'm just sitting there just mouthing the dialogue all the way through it because it's really good.
What are a couple of your favorite quotes from it then?
My all-time favorite line is Melanie Griffith. Come on, Sherman, you know I'm a sucker for a soft dick. That's my all-time favorite line.
By the way, Melanie Griffith looks amazing in this. I would have an affair with her in a second.
We were in the jungle. We were attacked.
Oh, it's true.
We fought our way out.
We could have been killed.
Oh, we fought. I feel like
We dropped the hell out of that car.
Oh, but the hard part was getting into the seat, getting over that gear shift.
No, it was instant.
Oh, God, and that tire.
Oh, he was big, wasn't
Sherman, you
was
were
big.
bigger.
it? It was big.
You were great.
Oh, we were both great.
This could be the best sex we've had in a long time.
I don't know. I still think.
Oh, don't think, Sherman. Just fuck.
Well, that's one of the things you should know about. She got a boob job in the middle of production.
Sure. Well, Melanie, good for you because it looked. I have to agree with.
Well, they look overly swollen. You could tell she just had them done, and that was one of the problems with it. Was like she took some downtime to go get her boobs done.
I mean, she's a sexy woman anyway, but she just exudes sex appeal in this thing.
Yeah.
Fun
But she got so much shit for her character being essentially a ditz, which she was supposed to be. And then as a result, she ended up getting cast in the remake of Born Yesterday, which was exactly her doing the exact same character again. But I mean, my thing is that every single review I've ever heard and every person I've ever met outside of you guys after today, every single person I met who complains about the movie, the first words out of their mouth is the book. And if you go on Wikipedia and look at the critical consensus, every critic says the book. It's all referenced to the book. And I'm like, stop. When we were talking about this last week, I was going to bring this up. I'm going to bring it up short for just a brief moment right now. The Shining. Stanley Kubrick's The Shining is so different from the book, but it's so amazing. It's completely different from the book. And people who are purists hate that movie. But the thing is people who really just love cinema love Kubrick's version of The Shining. Yeah. So that's what I don't understand is why some books are like, if you change a word of it, they go after you. And that's kind of how I feel about Bonfire. It's like there's so many great moments in that movie. So many. The shot of Sherman McCoy holding up his dog and going, come on, let's be men about it. I mean, there's so many things in this movie. You guys noticed that whole opening with Bruce Willis, that was a one take. You noticed that, right?
Yeah, it was a great one shot.
And no cuts, because I've seen De Palma try to do it in Carlito's Way and Snake Eyes, and I could see where he put the cuts. Yeah. I could tell where he put the cuts. In Bonfire, he didn't. By the way, this came out the same year as Goodfellas. So no one can say he was ripping off Goodfellas. He did it himself.
No, it was a great one shot. It was really fun.
Yeah.
I just have to say, I know you've heard it a million times, but that scene where the mayor gets hit in the head with the mayonnaise jar, and, well, to be continued. We're on our way. Home, Mr. Bello. Right this way.
Yeah.
Except, I will tell you, my only complaint with it was that salmon scene. I can't even, I want to vomit. Just scoop.
But that's the point.
Wait a minute. How do you eat salmon?
Well, occasionally like that, but I don't throw it in the wall afterwards. Like that, I was like, oh.
You don't grab like a handful in the elevator? Some elevator salmon? I also don't want to eat salmon that's transported in the open in an elevator anyway. Or I just don't want to know about it, by the way.
Yeah, that's the right. Yes, that's the way I feel. Because that scene, I'm like, Doug, what have you done to me? Because I'm like, if there's not like this, that is so wrong.
So Justin, where are you at with this thing? Talk to us.
I'm 50-50 on this, to be honest with you. Like, I liked it. I didn't love it. But it was very weird to me in parts. And so the reason that I'm not going to say I love this movie was, so first of all, Morgan Freeman is amazing usually. Okay. His speech is good. Him as a judge, appalling. He loses control of his all the time and nothing ever happens. He's just like, hey, you be quiet. You know, like in a normal court, they'd be held in contempt. They'd be whatever. Right. So that to me was just a little bit weird.
Yes. It's not a well-run court.
No, it's a very, very poorly run court. I do love, who's the lawyer?
Saul Rubinek.
Thank you. Yes. Cause he reminds me of John Lovitz in this. He's just this kind of campy, you know, whatever. And he's always thinks he's won and then whatever. Right. So I don't want to give anything away, but the point is that it does have good moments. What lost me too is, and it's just the 80s in general. I didn't like the fact that Bruce Willis is a drunk. And then at the end, he's still a drunk. Like He has all his great lessons, all these opportunities to turn his life around. He sold, and this isn't giving anything away to the audience. This is the opening scene. He's basically delivering this book to them, and he can't even stand up straight. So that to me was obnoxious, and that's an 80s thing, so I'm going to let that slide. But overall, I thought it was fun. Because they did it a lot in the 80s. Everyone was an alcoholic or a drug addict, like in most movies. Like the protagonist.
Welcome to the
80s. That's accurate. That's on point.
Yeah. Welcome to the 80s.
In fact, so all
the 60s with better drugs.
And what also got me was it took me a while to figure out that was Kim Cattrall, like with Black, like that threw me because I saw she was in the cast. I'm like, who was she? So that's Tom Hanks' wife.
Rita Wilson. Actually, Rita Wilson is in the movie. She's the woman who picks up Bruce Willis at the very beginning. She's riding with Bruce Willis at the very, very beginning of the shot.
Yeah,
that's Rita Wilson.
But in this, Kim is his wife, is what I was saying.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Not in real.
Oh, in the movie.
Yeah, in the movie. Yeah. Sorry. Yes. And she's in it just maybe 5 minutes total. But I thought it was interesting. I would say that I don't think that they were necessarily racist at the beginning. I think that they were just scared for whatever reason. So I don't want to label it with Ray. I just want to say I think they were just scared for whatever. It could have been anyone coming after him. It's always weird at night under a bridge. However, I thought it was, a fun movie. The dialogue was a little campy at times. It seemed choppy to me too. But I will tell you, I love that it had a good happy ending. It was a weird ending with everything that went on. It just kind of like, hey, we ruined everything. You're good. You're good. It's okay, guys. We're gonna let it go. You're good. But as far as movies go, it was enjoyable. So I do not hate it by any stretch of the imagination. Will I recommend it? I don't know. Will I see it again? No need to.
My review is probably gonna be all over the place for you guys. So and Doug, I think you're gonna appreciate parts of it. Yeah, I would say a very underutilized Morgan Freeman. But why not? I think the reason people don't like this movie, reasons, right? I think first one you hit on, Doug, is 100% correct in that I don't want to say, I think ahead of its time is probably the wrong way to phrase it, but just released in the wrong decade is probably the way I'd say.
Yeah.
What I honestly feel at my heart is if this was done 5 to 10 years later, the exact same movie with the exact same execution, and it was by the Coen brothers, everybody'd say this was amazing.
That's a good call, man. That's a really good call.
There's a lot of parallels to me for this and a Coen brothers movie. If you're looking at even Big Lebowski, look at the end where basically nothing has fucking changed, right? I mean, Lebowski just ends, right? I mean, you solved a big case that nobody cared about solving, right? It was just, it's over, and the randomness of it, like the African-American preacher guy, and mind you, I would definitely drink a bottle of wine while I was watching this, and I think that helps. But that's the type of character, though, especially like that shot where he's just looking down the barrel and just fucking right into the camera, and just then they're going back and forth. And by the way, what's so crazy is the shot choice on that, right? He's obviously in a pulpit looking down on them. Okay. So they shoot, when you're looking at the preacher, he's into the camera. It's an upshot at him, right? Where he's looking straight at him. The reverse of that would be his POV looking down on that. That's not what De Palma did. He shot up on them too. And I don't know if that's to give them some strength in this position or what. It was, but anyway, that scene is where I really started to go, this is like a Coen Brothers movie. Like I really started to feel that. And by the way, I'm not 100% on the Coen Brothers movies. Like I will not say that everything they've done is genius. I think, Intolerable Cruelty, this is not necessarily one of my, it's not high on my, it's not the worst movie I've ever seen. I'm just saying, if I'm ranking movies, it probably is.
There's a good point right there, because Intolerable Cruelty was a movie where they were hired. That wasn't one of their scripts.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's also another point right there.
But
You know?
but you are right. I mean, especially since No Country for Old Men, the Coen brothers have been kind of hit and miss since then.
And I didn't love No Country for Old Men.
Yeah, I did, but it would.
I mean, I get why people liked it. I think I was expecting something different from them out of that. But anyway, that's where I kind of set with it. Like I was like, this if I pretended like this thing came out 10 years later, and if I pretended like it was a Coen Brothers movie, which is just saying it was a different director, right? I mean, that doesn't even, and I'm not slamming De Palma at all.
Yeah.
But I think it was like he was more in that traditional, you know, he's judged based on like his past catalog.
Yeah.
And so I feel like, you know, but if you were looking at this as a Coen Brothers movie and thinking, this is this edgy, cool, quirky, weird, doesn't kind of make sense, blah, 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 then they would have totally got away with it. Like I think it would have been like a different story.
Of course, in my day, there was some integrity to it.
Yes, well,
Now it isn't about anything, is it? Except the money.
well, I don't make the rules, so...
All the more reason not to play the game.
I think the title's terrible. I never read the book, so I have no attachment to that whatsoever. But just because it's the title of the book doesn't mean it has to be the title of the movie. And you know, Bonfire of the Vanities doesn't really. It may have made sense as a book title. It makes no sense to me lined up against this movie. I mean, it makes me it makes me feel like it's going to be a hot, steamy, love triangle kind of thing. And it's not that there isn't a little bit of a, the affair thing or whatever, but that's not what it is, like at all.
Really funny because I had mentioned last week that it was either Entertainment Weekly or Premiere Magazine put it on their cover, and it was a picture of Tom Hanks, Melanie Griffith, and Bruce Willis all standing in character facing the camera with a ginormous fireplace behind them with fire behind them. So what you just said about it being this movie with this hot steamy love triangle, that's exactly what that image on the magazine cover.
Yeah, so it's like they sold something that it's not. They probably sold it at a time that they shouldn't have been selling it. I mean, it's just I think it's a victim of coming out at the wrong time, and probably
was released on Christmas Day.
I mean, I'm not going to lie and say that it goes on my top favorite movies of all time. If I had seen this, though, I don't recall ever seeing this. So if I had seen it in 1995, though, I probably would have been like, "Oh, this is crazy cool," quirky, whatever. But probably at the time it came out, it wasn't.
But I mean, but you guys are speaking to my point that neither one of you have read the book, and I'm not saying that you guys are, as in love with it and as passionate about it as I am. But the thing is you're also not completely turned off and ripping it to shreds just because of it. Well, I mean, obviously you haven't read the book, but the thing is if even at that stage, you're not still looking at it and going, "Oh, this is a piece of shit." You're not doing that. So it kind of speaks to that point of that. And the further away I get from the original release date, the more I look at it and say it was probably released at the wrong time and they probably should have waited.
Well, I say unto you, what does it matter the color of a man's skin if witnesses perjure themselves? If a prosecutor enlists the perjurers? When a district attorney throws a man to the mob for political gain?
Morgan Freeman was actually a last-minute replacement. It was originally, when Mike Nichols was on board, it was originally supposed to be Walter Matthau, but he wanted too much money. And then when they switched to De Palma, they had Alan Arkin on board, and he was actually, I mean, he ended up with a pay or play deal, so he ended up getting paid even though he didn't do it. But they decided at the end of the day that final speech, the decency speech at the end, would have a lot more credibility coming from another African American because the entire courtroom was full of African Americans rather than having a Jewish guy. I think that the original script and the way it was originally plotted was because it was a different actor playing that role. And then Morgan Freeman came in at the end. Now, I've read a lot of criticism of Morgan Freeman
in that role, and nothing compare. I mean, just ripping it to shreds.
Wow.
And I'm sorry, but that when he goes into the decency speech at the very end, believable? Hell no. But the message was clear. And to this day, I still say that is one of the most poignant speeches about just being a human being, period, that we need still to this day. Go home and be decent to each other.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I will tell you, from me, that scene, the one I felt bad laughing, but you keep mentioning there's only African Americans out there. There is one white hippie chick that they keep zooming in on. Yes. Just chanting the whole time, like, yeah, like what?
But yeah, the decency speech was really important. And Morgan Freeman delivering it. I mean, and you have to remember, this is right around the same time he'd done Glory, he'd done Street Smart. I think Driving Miss Daisy was the same year, if I remember correctly, or something like that. It was right around that time. And so he hadn't become A-list lead actor yet, but he was about to. And that speech was, as far as I'm concerned, that's one of the better scenes he's done in his career.
I'm just gonna say, like, I kind of choose my timing well too. I think in terms of when I'm going to watch this. If I turn that thing on at 10 o'clock at night, it would not go well, you know. But like, you know, I watched it at 4 o'clock in the afternoon on a Saturday or a Sunday or whatever. You know, big bowl of popcorn. A buddy of mine's over, and there's a bottle of wine open, and like the combination is just like, you know, it's afternoon, it's weekend, you got no agenda. It's like, this is funny. You know, you can laugh together, have a good time. Like,
I think this is going to become a thing on the show. It's going to be, was this a bottle of wine movie?
Yeah, I've never had one that wasn't. So every movie's better with wine. I mean,
real quick, there's one actor. There's one actor in this movie I really want to point out because we haven't mentioned him yet. F. Murray Abraham. But F. Murray Abraham, I honest to God did not know him that well, and I didn't recognize him from Scarface when I saw Bonfire of the Vanities. Right. But yeah, I was absolutely blown away. To this day, that some of his lines in that movie and that's also the first time I ever saw Saul Rubinek, by the way. But F. Murray Abraham just absolutely blew my mind. He's just a complete piece of shit character who is just incredibly unlikable.
Yesterday, I was a respected Jewish liberal. 10 minutes of news like this, and all of a sudden, I'm a Jaime racist pig? Italians are gonna love this. Irish, too. And the wasps.
The other one that I have to point out, just because I think he's one of the funniest character actors ever, is Albert Fox.
Oh, yeah.
Who's what I love about him is that he had a 2 James Bond recurring bit as the dopey sheriff, and also in Superman. So it's almost as like, who plays the dopey sheriff? Oh, that guy. Let's just keep putting him in as that. So I was disappointed that he wasn't a sheriff in this one.
The cast in that thing is just incredible.
Well, let's talk about that for a second then, since we all at least agreed that it's watchable and it was fun, it's before its time. So if we were to redo this now, how would we? I mean, first of all, I don't think any of us disagree with the Coen brothers. I was not going to say that, but I think that you nailed it. I can't get it out of my head now. So Bill, I tip my proverbial hat to you. That is my choice for director. But as far as playing roles and stuff here in today's world, also, you know, one of the things I was thinking about watching this is you can't make a lot of this movie today. Like, you know, you just couldn't do this today. So I was thinking, you know, okay, so if you recast this, you have to rewrite the script, you know, all those things. But laying that aside, who do you guys, you know, who would you put up for certain roles and recast this thing to make it today? So, Doug, it's your movie. Why don't we start with you and then work our way to Bill?
Well, starting right off on the bat, redoing Tom Hanks, Zac Efron.
Well,
Zac Efron, who I used to not like at all, but he has won me over in the last 5 years with some of the things that he's done. And so if you would have asked me this 5 years ago, that would have been the last person on my mind, but now it would be the first person on my mind. I think that he would absolutely murder it. And if he wasn't cast as Sherman McCoy, then he'd make a great Peter Fallow. He could do either one of them. So that would be first.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of parallels between those characters. They're kind of, I mean,
very much so.
either person could have played either part almost.
Yeah. I absolutely love the scene on the subway when they're drunk on the subway and he, confesses, the truth to Peter Fallow. That's one of my favorite scenes. And that's Tom Hanks and Bruce Willis at that point in their career when Hanks was kind of skidding and Willis was on the rise, and having that shared moment in their careers and on screen at the same time. I absolutely love that whole thing. But yeah, I do see the parallels between the two, but it also shows that's when I think of Zac Efron doing both roles. It's like I could see him doing Hanks on the subway drunk, and I could see him doing Bruce Willis on the subway drunk. Melanie Griffith, I am at a complete loss for. Does somebody there have a shout out for that?
I had Jen Aniston. It seemed appropriate to me age wise. Like it just seemed.
Yeah.
I'm not sure it's the right choice, but that's when I first thought of this. That's what went through my mind.
Yeah, I was almost gonna say what's her name, Legally Blonde.
Reese Witherspoon.
Reese Witherspoon. I mean, if we're going to that same age, like Jennifer Aniston age.
That's good because my favorite Reese Witherspoon movie is Election.
Oh yeah.
And if she did something like that, if she played her character in that kind of realm, absolutely.
Yeah, although again, she can kind of, I don't know, she's a versatile actor, I think.
Yeah.
She's got some fun range to her. I think like a fun Tom Hanks role person might be Justin Timberlake.
Oh yeah.
That's an interesting choice. Why?
I can see it.
Again, he's one of those people that I feel like, I don't want to say he's underrated because he's doing quite well, but he's diversely talented as an actor and as a musician. Like that guy's got some mad skills. And so he's also just got enough of he's got that higher energy level, I feel like. And so I feel like playing the stock guy with that high energy level and that intensity that I know that he could bring to it, I think would be kind of cool. I don't know. And then his wife should have been played with Lady Gaga.
Well, see, that's ironic because I was going to say Bradley Cooper as my choice.
Ooh, Bradley Cooper would make a great Bruce Willis character.
Yes.
So I was going to suggest actually a female. I was to kind of spice it up. Odd choice, but Melissa McCarthy
as Bruce Willis's role
as Peter Fallow, but like Priscilla Fallow or whatever.
Because of course he's a writer, so he'd be played by AI, I guess.
Chat GPT gets wheeled in.
Chat GPT just comes in on a monitor. Yeah.
So with Morgan Freeman's role, would you keep the role African American? Would you cast someone else?
Given if we're staying the same storyline and everything's going the way it's going, yes, I would keep that as an African American character. I mean, why not just have Morgan Freeman do it? Like he's still alive and he's amazing. Like,
yeah.
I don't know.
See, I was thinking Denzel.
Yeah, I mean, he would he'd take it up a notch in terms of the.
I could just see him being like really direct, being like, "Shut up, motherfucker!"
Yeah, or he could just up the funny of it and put in like Eddie Murphy or something. Like just
that could be fun.
I was just about to say before you said Eddie Murphy, I was just about to say, for those of you who still have not seen the movie Air, and you must see the movie Air, Chris Tucker.
Right.
Chris Tucker actually turns in a very controlled performance in Air. He's not his usual, run of the mouth, like he did in Rush Hour and stuff like that. He's very controlled. And yeah, he would be a contender too. Eddie Murphy would be a great choice as well. Yeah. Because these are guys who are known for comedy, but I want to see Eddie do more drama. That's just me. I want to see Eddie do more drama.
Another option for Bruce Willis's character, maybe Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah.
He would be, again, I'm kind of biased between him and Robert Downey. they
Yeah.
could do almost any of these roles. Like I just love those guys. I think they're so good.
Robert Downey Jr. as the district attorney.
We have
Ray Abraham's role.
Yeah.
especially because
Oh,
that's
he would kill that.
bald, shaves his head, whatever, just like it. That would be awesome. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
That scene where he's looking at the map of New York City, and he's talking about, you know, especially one of my favorite lines. Do you think the future doesn't know how to cross a bridge? That whole scene. Go back, watch that scene again, and imagine how Robert Downey Jr. would do it. Oh my God, that's great.
Oh my God.
One of the parts that did make me laugh, just speaking of the map, is that, you know, when this stuff goes down in the bad part of town, it was in the Bronx. You know, like I love that they're like, oh, we're in the Bronx, and then, you know, everyone starts like, you know, oh, you're in the Bronx. 80s it was bad. Today it's not nearly as bad, but it is very funny to me that like back then you're like, you were in the Bronx. That's just
Yeah.
good. What were you doing in the Bronx? Well, it was wrong decision. So you know, I'm gonna tip my I'm gonna tell you here, I was very skeptical because of I think it was what 15 on Rotten Tomatoes or whatever when we looked
Yeah.
last week, and even worse than Paws of Fury, which I want to apologize again for, gentlemen. It is not nearly of that caliber. It was a fun movie, and Doug, you can tell everyone else to eat sand.
Thank you.
Yeah, I feel like this is one of those ones like I had no opinion on it because I wasn't bad or good. You know, like I was not tied to it in the past, hadn't seen it before, didn't read the book, knew the name, just, you know, the pop culture of it. I think like I was like, oh, that's a movie, but I didn't know that's it. And sometimes that's the most fun way to go into something when you really don't have any baggage at all. So I'm really, yeah, that was a good watch for me because I like having an informed opinion about something that I didn't before, you know. And I don't think it'll go down as like my favorite movie of all time, but I definitely enjoyed the watch. I thought it was fun, and I think watching it in today's context, thinking about, like I said, the Coen Brothers, everything else, I go, yeah, it's a lark, right? It's fun. I didn't feel like I wasted time. I thought it was a good run.
But yeah, I mean, it wasn't a perfect film back then. I would give it like a B plus. Okay.
Yeah.
But there's so many great moments and so many great performances and so many funny fucking lines. Like when Caroline Huffshanks is sitting on the on the printer, and she just so casually says, "And when you find them, give them this."
Did you notice she took like 10 Xerox copies? She kept around. Yeah,
she chose the right one.
I love it when that back when that was a thing.
Yes.
Sitting on Xeroxes.
Is it at least unsanitary?
A bit.
There's so many great moments and so many great lines that I can't believe people would just wholesale slaughter the movie just because it didn't represent the book.
So, Bill, what is your choice for next week?
We're gonna watch Baby Driver.
Okay, I haven't seen it, and
I
I
know.
want.
That's why it's getting picked.
What
It's
is it?
Baby
what?
Driver.
Oh, Baby Driver?
Have you seen it?
No.
Awesome.
Cool.
Awesome. Also a terrible name for a movie. It does make sense with it. I love this movie. I've seen it several times. I'm really interested to hear what you guys have to say. Justin, not safe for the kids, so just telling you up front.
It's Ryan Gosling, because I remember there's someone driving. Who's driving?
No, that was Drive.
Okay.
Ansel Elgort, whatever.
Okay.
He's the one driving. It's a fun ride for me. I will say, so the director on this is Edgar Wright. I am 100% 50-50 with Edgar Wright. So
So wait a minute, you're saying you're 25 or 75?
yeah, I 100% agree with him 50% of the time. You know, it's like the Sex Panther. Yeah, like Scott Pilgrim versus the World, I think is one of the most horrible movies ever made on
hate it.
Which movie?
Scott Pilgrim
versus the World.
Oh yeah, I hated the trailer, so I never saw it.
Yeah, it literally was just like, I mean, I went to go see it at a theater with some other people, and had I not been with people, absolutely would have walked out. It just, the movie might as well have been called, "Hey, look at me, I'm a creative director." It was unbelievable. This movie, though, I will say, for me, it's a lot of fun. I don't pretend it to be the epitome of filmmaking or something like that. I just find it to be really fun, high energy, like the whole ride of it. You get a little not so right at the perfect worst time of career choices, Kevin Spacey in there too. So just when he was falling from grace. He's one of those people I can separate actor from art, or art from artist. But
thank you for saying that, by the way. I appreciate that, really, honestly.
And he does he plays a bad guy. So, if you want to hate somebody, go ahead.
He plays bad guys.
He's by the way, Kevin Spacey, my brother and I previously have rated him best in the chair actor. So there's a movie called The Ref, which I
love The Ref.
And he's basically tied up in a chair for a large part of the movie. There's Swimming with Sharks, once again tied up in a chair for a lot of the movie. And then The Usual Suspects, he is sitting in a chair for a lot of the movie. So we vote him best in the chair actor. So I'm excited that you guys have both not seen it, because that's really fun for me. It is to me, it's a fun ride. I don't want to give too much away, but we'll be very curious to hear your thoughts.
So I was 50-50 on the trailer. And when I say 50-50, I don't mean 100% 50-50. I mean, really 50-50. So real fast question, just to answer this really quickly, both of you. Did you watch Bonfire in one sitting or multiple?
One.
Good. Glad to hear it. Okay. Awesome.
Like I said, middle of the afternoon. So
right, yeah, but with Justin, Positive Fury was like a 5-day affair. So
yeah.
Well, with good reason.
Me too. I did half and half as well.
When your kids won't watch it and it's a cartoon, that tells me, and my kids love entertainment. My son wants to be a director. Like, that tells you everything you need to know. What's our rating system? I forgot. It's at a 4, right?
Yeah, 4.
We didn't rate this. So essentially, Bill, you want to go first?
I mean, I'll just say 3 out of 4 or something, or 2.8.
That's what I was going to say. I'm going to give it a solid 3.
See, my own personal rating system is a 5-star thing.
Yeah, 5's easier, I guess.
Okay. Right, 5. I thought
okay. I didn't want to overcomplicate it with you guys.
I'd give it a 3.5 out of 5. How about that?
Oh, you're going to love this. I just got a text from Kelly saying, did you get the groceries out of the car? I've been in meetings for 4 hours, so I didn't know that there were any groceries in the car.
How are the eggs doing and the salmon?
That's
go get yourself a handful of car salmon.
If you
What's your star rating, buddy?
Out of 5, I'm going to stick with 3.
3?
Better than half.
3 out of 4 and 3 out of 5.
Like from day one, I was 4.5.
Okay.
Day one, I was 4.5. So, but it has not changed. So
I'm excited. I've actually wanted to see Baby Driver. I was giggling because it's actually on my list of things I wanted to see, so I was excited. So
awesome.
Thank you.
Well, I hope I don't get demolished by you guys next week. But happy watching.
Likewise. Take it easy, guys.
All right. I'll see you later.
And cut, Brent. We're moving on. That was perfect.
Please follow our YouTube channel and check back for future episodes. If you'd like to suggest a movie for us to assign to each other, please send them to us in the comments. This podcast is a production of Two Dips and a Dad Productions. Production and post-production support is by Sean Robinson of Park with Ken Entertainment. Thank you for joining us.